So, welcome to the show, Nissi. Thanks for coming on my podcast. I've been wanting to get you on this podcast since I met you in Madurai last time. So, how have you been doing?
I've been good. How are you? And I can't wait to explore Madurai again with you. I
Okay.
had a really good time uh,
Right.
going around taking pictures with you. It was a really nice experience.
Great. So, Nissi, so how old are you?
I'm 24 right now.
Okay. Young man, you're exactly half my age.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I am maybe half plus 1 year, maybe. Okay. Good, good, good.
I
So
think
yeah,
I
I'm
think we'll catch up next year. I'll be 25 and you'll be 50. Yeah.
correct. Don't tell the age on air, man.
I think people can figure out the math easily. Okay.
Yeah, maybe I don't think they'll be listening to the podcast with the calculator in their hand, but anyway.
You could censor it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, it is just a happy coincidence that I met you, because I was wondering where to go and what to do and all of that. So it's a very happy coincidence that I met you. So I just very curious as to know the stuff that you do. How did you first get into this? And explain to us after that the Discover Madurai part of your journey.
Okay. So it's going to be almost, I think it's been a decade since I started doing photography um on a serious note. And I got started into it when my brother bought a DSLR camera. I mean, he was the one who was studying journalism, and he buys a camera. And we're at the camera store, and he buys the camera. He opens the box. He gives the camera to me, and I take a picture with it. And that's when I realized that cameras could take such awesome pictures. Like till that point, my encounters with camera was shooting with cyber shot or power shot, and my first camera, a DSLR camera that I used was Canon 60D, and uh, I just I was so impressed by the quality. And then uh, there was this new gadget at home. Then I, like every other photographer, I start going around taking pictures of flowers, taking pictures of sunset, and incidentally I got into bird photography, and I would say that it was the most educating experience that I had. Like, I started taking pictures of birds, and my family, they're huge time bird admirers, I would say. So they were into it too. Like, I would take pictures and I would come back, show them, and they would get so excited. And that would get me so excited that I would go out more, take more pictures of birds, and I would post in this Facebook group that had a lot of bird photographers. And I was just getting started. I would put pictures into it, and I would ask for ID. And it started out so simple. Like, I would post pictures of house sparrow and ask what the name of it is. And the people there were so encouraging, and I think I learned most of photography basics, like the rule of thirds, negative space, and everything, through bird photography. And as years passed, I've been living in Madurai for a long time now since then, and I just went on to explore a lot of genres. It is something that I do with everything. I tend to go out, and I have a lot of interests, and it was the same with photography as well. I wanted to try out every genre. Like, I tried out astrophotography, macro. I would put the lens, uh, the other way and try stuff. And I experimented a lot. And through all this, through everything, but something that was common, uh, among all the things that I tried out was that I shot all of these photographs in Madurai. And at one point of time, I figured that I could make use of the content that I made, that I created. And so I started a blog called Discover Madurai. And I initially, it was just my photos there, just my works there, uh, that that showed Madurai, that gave away the essence of Madurai. And as time went on, it turned out to be a community where other people could also share their works, and their works could also be featured in the page. And it helped me connect with a lot of photographers in Madurai, and I met a lot of people. And I think it's part of the reason why I met you as well.
Mm.
I got to show you the Madurai, the alternate side of Madurai that people don't explore much, and that's how it's been going.
Yeah, and you also showed me how unfit I was as well.
Couple of more days, and I would have gotten, I would have gotten you used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm happy to share with you that I am trying to get fit for my trip back to Madurai. Walking on the treadmill every day, trying to get my
Okay.
the oxygen level up, all cardio, so that I can lift the camera and walk as well. So yeah, it is good fun, and I think the Discover Madurai is a pretty awesome thing that you're doing. But also the other side of this is um, you know the more you share new places, the more the danger of it becoming filled with people and getting really destroyed, or kind of what can I say, you know how people are in India. It's not like in the US or New Zealand, where people are very aware of keeping things pristine and beautiful. But it's not that case in India. So the more it becomes touristy and Instagrammy, the more um, the ecology of the place getting affected. A lot of plastics, pollution happening, and all of that jazz. And all the additional situations, like law and order, uh, you know civic sense, all of that goes out of of the window. So yeah, how are you tackling that?
I get comments like that when I put out content, when I put out content about a new place in Madurai of sorts. Uh, but I feel like, so here's the thing. Madurai is often compared with metro cities like Chennai and Bangalore. Like, you wouldn't find people staying here for too long doing something that they like. Like, even with photography, you would find people moving to Chennai and Bangalore instantly. And so I've been like sticking around, and I think Madurai should um, Madurai is like kind of assumed as a place where you can just go out to temples and there's nothing much more to do. And that's part of the reason why I explore Madurai so much, and I try to find new places and bring out these new places to people. And I understand how it kind of also impacts the places in a negative way. But I think uh, that the government, that the corporation, that they should take proper initiatives to keep these places clean, and uh, and I wouldn't say like on the at the other side of it, the places that are less explored, less visited, they are not as clean as we think as well.
True, I agree, but the thing is, I mean, that's a common thing, right? I mean, you know, it's not as clean as you want to be most of the places, but the danger of it, you know, like for example, if you take Juhu Beach in Bombay,
Mhm.
initially it was like covered with junk. Now people have actually cleaned it up and people are going back, but the danger of it becoming too popular is you know it's just unmanageable, the number of people that visit because of that. Like for example, lots of these places where shooting happens and then it becomes a pretty popular spot after that,
Mhm.
right? So that's just the other side of it, which I'm, you know, curious about, concerned about as well, because I noticed that when I went on this road trip just before I landed in Madurai, and I could see um, this especially I went to a place, I think it was one of those dams that Karigala Chodan built in Trichy. What's it called? I forgot the name.
Kallanai, Kallanai.
Kallanai. Oh my god, I mean, it was like literally thousands of people were there.
Mhm.
And we could, you know, go that the car literally had to, it's like, you know, Jesus parting the the waters. So you go in and the people like split. So that is, it is just and we could stop, we just went on going, you know. So that's the other side of a place being becoming too popular. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's the danger, I guess we have to live with it. But
Yes.
having said that, um, how has it transformed your life in the sense that this Discover Madurai, your photography, the blog, the content that you're putting out, um, how has it transformed your life? Like, I'm assuming that um, you're looking at your future in a different manner, your profession in a different manner because of this. It started off as a hobby, and suddenly it's becoming this thing that's consuming your life.
Okay. So, yes, like you say, this photography and exploring and creating content, and it has had a huge impact on my life. Uh, I would say in the sense that I'm not a very social person. Like I at least I was not very social back then, and I would say uh, photography helped me in that portion of my life, in that part of me a lot. Like I know that we always, like as photographers, we say that our images should tell a story. Something that is as important as that for me is what stories the photos lead to. Like I get to meet people when they ask me about my pictures. I get to interact with people who like my images. I get to have conversations. I get to go out, explore, and have a good time with my friends while taking that picture. So, as much as it is uh, for the picture to tell out a story, the story behind it, the story that led to the picture, and the story it leads to after I take that image, it is as important for me. And that's how it's affected my life. And I think I started to look at photography at this perspective after I had a conversation with an author that I met a few years ago. His name is Jerry Pinto, and I got the opportunity to attend a creative writing workshop with him. And I met him, and after a few weeks, he drops me a text on Facebook. I had added him as a friend, and he was curious to know about what my name meant. Like, my full name is Rexstane Nissi, and he wanted to know what Rexstane meant. And uh, I was like, that's just my dad's and mom's name put together. And I was just a little bit complaining about how my parents played around with the name, and I have been struggling with people misspelling it and pronouncing it wrong all my life. And uh, but he was like, no, you have to look at the positive side. This opens conversations with people, and you get to interact with a lot of people because of this. And though it's something so simple, it changed the perspective that that I had on other art forms as well. And it gave me an opportunity to have a positive outlook on so many other things as well.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
did you tell him that you have an ND folder named after you? Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
probably name your kid K and F. Yeah,
Okay.
right. But how about it affecting you in terms of, are you looking at it as a serious profession? Photography, content creation, and whatever that goes with it.
I am looking at is it as a, but I'm not at a very solid place right now to consider doing it full time. And right now I'm doing it on a freelance basis. And I work uh, when the opportunity arises. Uh, I'm looking into something else right now to do full time, but this might be something that I might jump back into in the future
Right,
when I feel things are solid. Meanwhile, I just
but
enjoy what I'm doing right now. Yeah, I'm having a really
right,
good time.
awesome. But photography as a profession, um, I mean, the one thing is that it's the entry barriers are pretty low, because it's very cheap to get a camera, and once you get a camera, then you become a photographer. Um, so, what do you think about that? I mean, is do you think that is a stumbling block, because technology has democratized so many things in our life today, right? And things are so easy. You have artificial intelligence doing so many crazy stuff today. You know, like for example, you have that Arsenal. This gadget that you can put on the shoe mount, and through that app you can just, if you want any type of photograph, and it'll automatically search its database and do this entire setup for you. Like if you want to take a specific type of photograph and say I want to take this kind of photograph, it'll immediately translate the setting for you, so you don't have to do any thinking. I mean, that's one example. In this kind of a scenario, um, how do you think the future is going to be? I mean, for a young person like you, like you're 24, 25, just stepping out into the world, trying to set up a career as a content creator. um I don't know where it's going to go, brother.
I do not know where it's going to go either. Uh, but we know for a fact that we are always going to be consuming media uh, because of so much people getting on social media now. And I mean, I could feel I could feel a huge transition living in India. I did not know about you. Uh, it was like a revolution. A couple of in just a couple of years, everybody had smartphones, and everybody was like getting on YouTube, and you could see that the subscriber count on YouTube, YouTube channels getting bumped way more than it used to grow. It was a sudden transition, and yeah, there's always going to be demand for content, but um, I think right now I can't speak in the same sense as you're asking, because I'm living in Madurai right now, and things are way more different uh, than it is for you in New Zealand, or even for someone who is living in Chennai or Bangalore here. Uh,
Why do you say that? I mean, what's the difference? I mean, living in Madurai. I mean, of course, um, it's been years since I actually lived in Madurai for a considerable stretch of time.
mhm,
But living in Madurai versus living in Chennai or Bangalore, um, from the point of content creation or
mhm.
photography, how different is it? I mean, in terms of just pure content creation, and second, in terms of you having that as a profession.
Madurai is actually like is known to be a culture hotspot, right? In terms of history and also art. But ironically, I would say that art is very underappreciated here, and that's why people tend to move out of the city so soon. And right now, with regards to photography, I would say that the only thing that pays well is wedding photography. Like I do not do wedding photography, but that is the only thing that pays well here. And the reason is that uh, people don't really um have that much of a creative need here. Uh, they don't go looking for great images. I would say they just settle for what is functional. And it is the same with everything else with regard to the music scene here. I mean, there have been a lot of people uh, who have like achieved a lot, who grew up here in Madurai, but eventually they move out because the scene here is so different. And even with regards to what I do here in Madurai, I have been working with hotels doing food photography recently, and uh, even though you deliver the same um, what do I say this the images of same standard that someone in Chennai would do, you wouldn't get paid as much as a photographer in Chennai. The reason is the reason is only because I'm living in a tier 2 city, just nothing else. It's just because I'm living in Madurai, and that's how the scene here is. And that makes it hard to survive here as a photographer who doesn't do wedding photography. And yeah.
Right. I think, I mean, there's another point to it as well, right? In terms of the way you look at it.
Mhm.
Um, Madurai is a destination, right? Currently, the history and culture associated with it. The way I'm looking at it is, my clientele is not in Madurai, but it could be a destination for people from outside of Madurai, and you could probably, because you're pretty good as far as a travel photographer is concerned. You're probably more of a travel photographer rather than a or a portrait or a wedding photographer, right?
Yeah,
uh, so I would think, maybe marketing it as a destination and attracting people and running some sort of an experiential tour for the right target segment, I would say, is probably a better way of looking at it, I suppose. I'm not sure how, in terms of the economics of it, the actual market for it is, but I think, um, that I guess you got to look at it from a different perspective in terms of who's actually going to consume your content,
I have to. Yes.
right? I mean, is it people in Madurai or people like me who has moved out of Madurai and looking at my hometown in a new perspective from the photographs that I see,
Of
right?
course.
I mean, that's how I look at it. So I mean, the when I moved out of Madurai, I used to freaking hate that place, right? Like, what the hell, like, and and now it's like, the grass is green on the other side of the river. Now it's like, oh god, I want to go back to Madurai, but I really don't want. Will I stay there forever, or will I go back and settle down back in Madurai? I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't. Maybe I will, if I'm able to kind of figure out some kind of a business where it allows me to travel, then probably I'll come to Madurai and stay for 2 3 months, stuff like that. But when I actually moved out of Madurai, it's like, ah, man, at last. But now I'm looking at it as like, oh, I didn't know this side of Madurai. That's because the Kurvitrai was a completely different experience. I wouldn't have seen that location if it were not for you, right? So I am probably the target market for you if you set up a travel photography business, right?
Yes. Yes.
So I guess it's looking at it from a different angle in terms of who is actually consuming the
Content. Yeah.
content. So if you look at hotels, obviously they'll pay you less because you're from Madurai, but probably not for long, because I guess today it doesn't really matter where you're staying when you sort of build a brand for yourself.
Mm.
Today you're shooting food, um, photography for Madurai clients, but you can still go and shoot um, food shots for other clients outside of Madurai once you have built up a brand for yourself, and they'll start paying you more. And I feel that you should not undercharge yourself. I think we should charge for, I don't know, you want to call it
The,
Chennai rates or Bangalore rates,
the
and
right
say,
amount. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, then why should you? Why should you undercut yourself? Because they're not charging. It's not the money that they pay you for that 1 hour of stuff that you do, right? It's the years of experience that's packaged in that 1 hour that are giving you to them,
Exactly.
right? So I don't think you should undercut yourself, and you in the short term you might lose some business, but I mean there is a premium associated with when you charge higher rates. Meaning, if it's more pricier, then it's must be better.
I don't think people of Madurai share the same thought. But yeah, I understand you. I get what you're saying. Um, yeah, I'll keep that in
Yeah, I mean
mind.
it's sort of growing pains when you actually, um, do these shoots for almost free, and where you have all of these things, oh, I'll give you exposure, come shoot for me, that kind of bullshit, um, but I don't think tomorrow when you actually start putting a brand
Mhm.
and build a profile for you and make it into something solid, you should definitely up your rates.
I understand.
I don't think anyone for that matter. It's a big topic in terms of how do you price your services, right? It's a very tricky question.
It is. It is.
Hmm. Right. So talk to me about um, your bike trips. That's another part of the Discover Madurai,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Your bike
I,
trips. That's pretty unique. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of bikers across India who will love to consume your content, and you do trips for them. Like, talk to me about that.
okay. I have not been on bike trips recently, to be honest. And um, before COVID lockdown, I used to go on a lot of trips, and I think one important reason behind all this exploring, one important reason behind how Discover Madurai came about was because I had like-minded friends. I had someone to share the experience with, who wanted to explore as much as I wanted to. Uh, and I have to thank those friends for you know getting that spark in me. They're a very major reason behind all this hikes and treks that I've done. And these bike trips, they started out very short. Like, it was initially uh, just a stress buster kind of thing that I did. I would be out of the home like 3 or 4 days of the week. I would, me and my friend, we would start the bike. We wouldn't know where we would be heading. We would just go to the outskirts of the city, and then we'll just, I don't know, we'll just decide on the direction that we go, and we'll just explore the roads, and we'll speak to local people, and they would give us pointers about scenic places nearby, and that's how it that's how it started. And it started out short, and then we started extending the range of our bike trips. And at one point, every trip that I started, it would at least be a round trip of 1,000 kilometers. And it taught me so much. And looking back at it, I had so much great memories. And I'm not really sure if I would be taking the risks that I took back then. I mean, I looking back, it's a little bit scary, the experiences that I had, but I wasn't scared back then, which seems very funny to me. And I've had people reach out to me, ask me about routes, and I've had I have bloggers and photographers reach out to me who want to explore Madurai, and I've met a lot of nice people, and you're one among them. And yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah, it's a great thing you're doing, in the sense that you're building a community of sorts, in the most unlikeliest of places. So it's quite something that you're doing, and I commend you for that. And
Thank
yeah, I think you should probably make it a little bit more organized, so that you at least
you.
make something out of it. All the effort you're putting, and you at least make something out of it. I mean, at least uh, in the sense that it's a lot of effort on your part, right? So there should be some returns for it. So yeah, and I think yeah, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with it, possibly. Like, there's a very popular website called Location Scout.
Mhm.
So a lot of people go and put mm, the places and their GPS coordinates. And if you want to have go look for locations around some place, that's the place you go to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and people on that GPS coordinate, they'll start linking photographs to that GPS coordinate. So it's this website called Location Scout. You should check it out.
Yeah, I
It,
will. I will.
probably it'll give you some ideas for how you organize Discover Madurai as well. So right. So and let's talk about your food photography. Are you a foodie?
No, I wouldn't call myself that. But I do enjoy food a lot. And living in Madurai, I would say that it's a major portion of my life. We celebrate food so much here in Madurai, right?
Yeah. One thing I missed last time is I actually wanted to just walk Madurai during the night, just on foot, experience Madurai. And I think Madurai needs to be experienced on foot more than anything else. You need to walk the streets of Madurai to discover the beauty that's there in all the there's little streets of Madurai, which people just will miss. And
We
I
will miss
feel
out so much.
Yeah, and I feel I didn't get to do that much last time because it was the duration of the
Because
trip
it was
was
short.
so short. I made the best of it. Right, I literally shot about couple of thousand shots on in 4 weeks, and that's quite a lot. But yeah, there was few keepers from it, but I felt that I didn't spend enough time exploring the city on foot. Just walking the streets and taking photographs, and then doing the night side of Madurai. I think the night side of Madurai is an entirely different world, and the food is entirely different as well. Right, in the night, it's
Yes.
completely different, and I wanted to capture that, but unfortunately, the last time I did not. But this time, the next time I'm coming in another 2-3 months, it's a longish time, so I
Oh,
think there's a lot of scope for doing that. Yeah.
yes.
So enough of me. Tell me how you started on food.
Um, so the only experience prior to collaborating with hotels uh, with photography was me just blogging about food in Madurai. It was part of what I was doing for Discover Madurai. And a hotel reached out to me and they wanted pictures of Madurai that I had shot. And incidentally, they found my works to be good, that they trusted me, and they gave me a food photography project without even asking for a portfolio. They just told me that I have a good sense of with photography, and they trust me with it. They gave me a project, and that's how I started with it. And it was a really nice opportunity. I because the first ever food photography project that I did was with a popular restaurant, and it felt so good. And till today, I have been collaborating with them continuously, and they've been understanding as well, and I've been growing. Uh, and I'm still learning. I wouldn't say that I am doing so great at it, but I'm still learning, and I'm doing a lot of my food photography using natural light. I use external lights rarely, and if it's one thing that if there's a one thing, if there's one thing that food photography has taught me, it's patience. uh, like I, taking pictures, it just takes less time. The amount of time that you spend arranging the food, making it look delicious, uh, making it look I don't know, you you know, people wanting to eat when you look at when they look at the picture. Uh, that's the major part of the job, and taking pictures, it just takes only just a short span of time during the whole shoot. Setting the right composition, and it has helped me understand a lot more about composition as well. Uh, like I would say, more than anything, every like different genre of photography that I've tried out in the past, food photography has taught me the most about composition, and it's
Are there
been a
any
very
photographers that you follow in this genre?
actually not specifically, not specifically. I'm the kind of person, I don't look up to very uh, I don't single out people and look at their works. Actually, I'm sort of the guy who thinks that there is a little to learn from everybody. I follow. I do not follow a specific set of people, but I would get on these platforms like 500px. I would look at images for inspiration, and I do a little bit of homework before I go to my shoots. But a little not. But I keep in my mind to not do the homework too much, that it reflects on my own ideas.
Mhm. Right.
Um, so yeah, it's the case with other genre of photography that I've tried out as well. Like when it comes to landscapes, I mean, I do someone I admire so much is Max Rive. If you have heard about him.
Max Raon, I'm not about him.
Okay. He's an amazing landscape photographer, and I do follow his works. And he has a very unique color palette, and I draw inspiration from him, and I draw inspiration from a lot of other photographers as well. I keep in mind to not recreate works, and to have to explore my own ideas, and that's helped me a lot to find my own identity when it comes to photography.
Right. Okay, so where from Nissi, where from here, where do you see yourselves going? Do you see yourself still treating photography and content creation as sort of a side gig kind of a thing, which you do when you're free or when your time allows, or do you think you look at it as a potentially as a full-time occupation?
I see it as a potentially full-time occupation one day, but it
Hmm.
doesn't feel like it's going to be happening very soon.
Right.
uh, I mean, I've taken my time and I explored different things. I do music, I do photography, and I studied physics. Everything in different directions, but I've taken my time, and I've experimented, and I feel like this is not something that I would be taking up full time uh, in the coming days very soon. But yeah, when I when I get the opportunity, I'm going to jump on this right away.
Right. Yeah, and let's talk about your music. I never realized that you're a musician until I saw some of your videos on Instagram. Are you a drummer or a like what's your preferred instrument? Is it drums, percussion, or is it guitar?
I'm a drummer. I started
Right.
with percussion instruments when I was little. Like it started with playing drums on school benches, and then my parents found me annoying. I guess they got me a bongo drum, and it was a tiny one, and I had that going for a lot of years. And then I moved to Madurai at one point of time, and the church that I went to had drums in it, a drum kit in it, and a drummer. And I so badly wanted to get my hands on a drum kit, and I eventually did. And till date, I've not been to a single music class in my life. Uh, it's uh, just like how my photography journey has been, like a lot of experiments, and it's been going on the side. And I eventually started to learn guitar as well, and I know to play the piano a little, and it's
Yeah,
some.
man of many talents. You're the second drummer on my show. Matter of fact.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
So the first musician photographer I interviewed was David in Graham. He's a mobile phone photographer from LA. He's a full time musician and he's a drummer. Yeah. So yeah, you and yeah, he creates some amazing black and white images on his iPhone.
Oh, I'd love to meet him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you should check out his work. His handle is dazed and confused.
Mhm.
Um, uh, yeah, it's DAYZD, dazed and confused. You should check out his work, and yeah, you'll find his episode on my podcast. You should check it out. He's pretty interesting guy, and I interviewed him at the peak of the pandemic.
Ah,
Yeah, and he was a traveling musician, and yeah, and he was stuck at home. Poor guy.
yeah, okay.
But it was interesting talking to him, and he's a really nice, sweet chap. And he's got a humongous following. He's done shows in some of the top museums, like the LA art museums and stuff like that. They carry his work, and he
Oh,
does
that's
a lot of
amazing.
workshops. Yeah, and the other musician who's become a photographer. What's his name? He used to be very popular in India. He's got that gravelly voice. He's got some. What's his name? Yeah, I forget. Uh, there's a lot of big hits. He's even toured India. That guy is a photographer,
Okay, okay.
musician, singer. I forget. Anyway, I'll tell you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean that's. Have you explored um, combining music with your photography, like doing um, I'm not sure if there are enough concerts happening in your side of town, but that's an interesting genre of photography. I'm not sure if you explored that.
I have not actually, but recently I've been taking interest in it, and since I got into event photography as well, I've been doing events on the side. Um, so I've been considering it. So I think we might know this guy on Instagram. He's pretty popular. Rory Kramer.
No,
No,
is he
okay,
is he a event photographer? Is he like a concert photographer?
yeah, like he's he's an artist like so many photographers and videographers in India look up to, and
Oh, okay.
like there's this group of artists from LA, like Sam Colder, Taylor Cut Films, and I'm not sure if you've heard of them. So he's one of them, and I used to follow him before, and his journey started out as you know he offered to take videos and photographs of local music artists, and that's how he started his journey. And that's always on my mind. Like, okay, that's something that we could do as well. And uh, when I get the opportunity, I would get to explore it.
Hmm.
And
I mean, yeah, I did one session with RJ Rocks la- with Rajshekhar. Remember the? I don't know if you know him. He plays Tamil rock.
you
Rajshekhar.
had posted a portrait of him
Yeah,
recently,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Gla-
Okay.
Bluebirds Raj. He used to be called Bluebirds Rajshekhar, but he formed a band called Glass Bangles. I think Glass Bangles.
I have heard of him, but I have not listened to his music. I found him playing with my bandmates, and yeah, I would love to meet him as well someday when
Yeah,
you get back to Madurai.
he's amazing. Um, yeah, so I grew up listening to his Tamil rock. So yeah, so he was one of the early pioneers, and he had like Tamil covers of Grateful Dead and all those bands. He had like literally made Tamil versions of their songs. Tamil, so, so it's pretty unique musician. You should look him up. He doesn't have any. He had a Tamil album, and I told him to re-record them and release them on Spotify.
Oh,
So I don't know what he's doing right now, but that's what I told him to do. So he said he'll re-record it for me. But he's seven. He's in his 70s and he's going strong. It's amazing energy. It's quite an inspiration. You think I'm old, but that guy is like he's got more energy than you. You know, it's just amazing. Yeah, yeah. I would like to go to his concert, or at least get him to play for me next time I come.
yes, yes. Please invite me to.
Sure, sure, sure. Mm, great, man. What else? So, parting thoughts. What would you have done differently looking back?
Stick with one genre or stick with one interest and focus on it. Uh, I It is not something that I would say as a regret, but it would be more of I don't know, pointed to my young self to focus on one single thing, and it is still a pointer for the current me as well. And but I've had my fun exploring a lot of stuff. So yeah,
Good. Thanks a lot, Nissi, for coming on the show. It was great fun talking to you, and thank you for your time.
thank you. I had fun as well.